Oh, brother, not another Banlist video. What's going on, y'all? It's GumGumTCG here, and another Banlist, man? Okay, so, I just want to clarify before we get into this. There has not been a ban list dropped, and this is just a video talking about ban lists, because I have heard rumors and seen rumors that after Worlds, there will be a ban list coming out for the OCG, and then possibly one also for the TCG. So I just wanted to kind of dive into this and talk about cards that I've heard people wanting to get hit or touched in some form. And as you notice, it's a lot of Sakazuki cards. If you think I missed anything in this video, please let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear your opinions. Again, first, I'm going to give my opinion on a ban list and what I think would help or not help. And then we can go over these cards that I've heard people griping about for quite some time. So, first off, I think that personally, we're in this weird state where we don't have a tier 0 format. We do kind of have this triangle format going on, with Sakazuki being the big threat, being the most represented deck almost every single time at big events. And then right below it is Enel, and then right below that, fighting for third, is Purple Luffy and Katakuri. So that's what I've seen from most meta reports and breakdowns and stuff like that. And honestly, if we look at some of the winning lists and like first place lists, Sakazuki does have a good win rate, but we've seen Enel win quite a few times. We've seen Purple Luffy win a few times. We have seen Sakazuki win some. Katakuri gets it set up in there, but seems to fall out a little flat. However, personally, I think that we are in a pretty healthy meta. I do think that there are other decks that can compete and have really good matchups against certain decks. For instance, lately I've been playing Red Purple Luffy. I really like the matchup that it has into Sakazuki. However, it does not have a great yellow matchup, so that's where I kind of fall short. But do I think we need a slaughter list? Do I think we need a ban list? Could it even just be 1 or 2 cards? I mean, I personally wouldn't complain if they hit a card or 2. However, I don't think they need to obliterate it like they did the last time we got a ban list, just for them to then end up reverting it again. You know, last time we got a ban list, it was a red massacre where they completely devastated the red player community, hit everything from Zoro players to Law players to Whitebeard players, and everything in between. However, I feel that a lot of the complaints that I hear personally from my locals, from my friends, things like that, is talks about hits to Sakazuki. And now I could agree with that. However, like I said, I feel like the deck is so strong and versatile that hitting just one thing isn't going to completely shut them out. You know, if we were to remove a single card and put it to completely banned, you know, like say Rob Lucci, for instance, their playstyle would change just a little bit, but not drastically. You know, they would have to have a new card for removal in there, but they already have some good cards that are good removal. So I really think that it's a very fine line of what would need to be banned and what would need to be hit. And personally, I don't really know what the right answer is. I guess we'll really just have to see what Bandai says, because right now we're like a month before OP06 comes out. So even if they were to hit something for us, it would kind of hurt their sales of OP06 product. You know, if they were to completely devastate Sakazuki, I guess that would just switch players over to something more like Moria. But then again, all those Sakazuki players are going to be missing out on cards like Gecko Moria, the 8-cost character. And personally, if I were to see some kind of hit, I do think that Rebecca is a very strong card inherently, just being a blocker that also returns a card to your hand, so you get that recursion, but also plays another card. So it gets you extra Dawn usage as well as recursion all in one card, and it has a counter. People might argue it's not searchable, but that doesn't really matter too much in Sakazuki. With the way that you play this deck, you can find your cards you'll need, and you'll find them just fine most of the time. You might struggle sometimes, but most of the time the deck's consistent enough for you to be able to find them. And then, like I said, with Moria coming out next set, even if you don't add them, say you pitch them off a brand new, say you found Moria and you play Moria, and then you get your Rebecca anyway. So, personally, I do think that Rebecca is a very strong card for Sakazuki. You know, we could say just hit Rob Lucci. Well, we did just get a reveal for OP07 that a new Sabo card is coming out, which is just a bigger, stronger Rob Lucci. It does have a little bit more costly of a price, having to pitch a card from your hand rather than shuffle cards back. And it is, I believe, an 8 cost. So, a little bit harder to play. However, like I said, personally, my opinion is that a ban list right now for the TCG would feel kind of strange, and I think they would have to do it very carefully. So, personally, I don't really have much of a take on what should get hit or not. I also do believe that Ice Age is an incredibly powerful card for the cost, also being searchable. I know most lists don't run more than 2 of it. However, it's just very, very strong. That's just my opinion. I also believe that Great Eruption is an insanely powerful card, being able to replace itself and then also give -2 to something, and the trigger makes your opponent trash a card, all while being searchable. So I do think that you could also label Great Eruption as a problem card or something very strong. However, like I said, I've heard a lot of arguments. I mean, some people say the Houndblaze is the problem, being searchable, giving that boost to anything. I do think that if this was locked to a Sakazuki leader or character, it would be a lot more balanced. However, it would be a lot less played. You know, I guess you'd probably still play 4 of it and just give the boost to your leader. However, giving it to something like a brand new makes your brand new a lot more playable and usable in the long run, rather than just a searcher body that sits there and eventually gets replaced like most. And then I've even heard some people say Borsellino is the problem. Like, this card, you just can't deal with it other than resting and bottom decking it. And not every deck has the ability to do that. So, like I said, I feel that the takes are all out there, very wild, and like I said, this is just a few cards that I pulled up that I've heard people complaining about and say that they want some form of hit to, and maybe I missed a couple. If you think I did, let me know down in the comments below, or join my Discord server and let me know in there. Love to hear your opinions on this. Like I said, I kind of just wanted to make this more as an informative video and give my opinion. Like I said, I personally don't believe we need a ban list. It's going to hinder sales and player base more than anything right now. But I could agree that they could probably use one over in the OCG right now, with Black being such a meta dominant threat over there. Our meta is soon to follow the same suit. However, we haven't gotten to that point yet, and I believe that Bandai is, as a company, wants to make money more than they want to please the player base most of the time. So they're going to wait for our ban list until after OP06 drops. Everybody buys their cards. Then, oh, we're going to hit a couple of cards. So, anyway, that's my personal opinion. I do want to talk about a couple of these cards. So, like I said, Borsellino, some people say it's a problem just being a 6K on your turn if your opponent's playing it. It's a 6K, and then it can also not be KO'd by effects, and it's a blocker. It's searchable, has a 1K on it. It's only 4 Dawn. You can break it back off of Moria. You can add it back to your hand off of Rebecca. Like, it's very, very strong, and it's been, in my opinion, one of, if not the strongest blockers in the game since it originally came out, and still is to this day. So I could see people arguing for this card to get some sort of limit, but I just think that's a little ridiculous. You know, you got to have some cards that are a little unfair to their certain color orientation, you know, like Black likes to KO things. Why not give them a blocker that cannot be KO'd, you know? Like, it kind of fits with Borsellino's theme and Devil Fruit and everything like that. Next up on the chopping block is Linlin. So in my last ban list video, I did talk about Linlin, saying that this card is incredibly strong, and especially with the announcement that we're getting another Big Mom Pirates leader in OP08. Now, I know that is a long ways away and far down the line. Currently, we only have 3 leaders that can play this leader, or that can play this character, but if we do get a purple, it's supposed to be purple-yellow, and the thought of a deck ramping really fast, being able to drop this on turn 3 or 4, terrifies me. And I think it terrifies a lot of other people too, and some decks really just cannot beat Katakuri because of this. As I mentioned earlier, I am a red purple Luffy player, and Katakuri is the biggest uphill battle for my deck, and it's mainly because of this card. You know, I can hit them a lot, and I can try to work through those triggers and get their life as low as possible so that this card isn't worth playing. However, against my leader that only has 3 life, it's almost always worth playing, especially if they're able to take a life off of me, putting me down to 2 life. Then they drop this, they wait a turn, they drop another one and kill me. It's usually over just like that. So I know this card has been a problem for a lot of people for a very long time, and it is very, very powerful. However, I do think that it being leader restricted makes it pretty fair, and I think that I mean, realistically, we only have one leader that can really take advantage of this the most, you know, Katakuri. You could play this in the starter deck Lin leader or the black yellow big bomb leader as well. However, those leaders are just not as good and cannot compete in the meta. When you look at something like Katakuri, it's just miles ahead. And yeah, this card is just very, very strong, and it's a menace. People have been talking about it being banned for a long time, and personally, I could see a hit to it. I wouldn't say completely banned, but I could see Bandai giving it a slap on the wrist. However, I still feel like Katakuri isn't topping enough for it to do that, for them to warrant doing that. Like, it's very strong, don't get me wrong. You like that little rhyme? However, Katakuri is not winning every single event, and it's not just because of this card. You know, Katakuri is a very strong, versatile leader that has a lot of tools in its box, and this is just one of them. So personally, I could see Bandai maybe giving this a slap on the wrist. However, I think it's still a little unlikely. I guess we'll just have to see. I talked about Rebecca a little bit already. I do think that she's insanely strong. She just gets you so much recursion, and yeah, it just gets you extra Dawn play as well, like being able to play a 3 from your hand. That makes this basically a 7 cost character, or 7 Dawn worth of playing 7 Dawn essentially for 4, and then also getting something back to your hand, especially if it's like you already have let's say you play this, you add a 2k back from your grave, and then you play a 3 cost Hina from your hand. Well, you just plussed and got your 2k back, as well as 2 bodies on the field, and possibly minus something as well, say if you played like a Hina from hand. So Rebecca is very, very strong, and I can definitely see and agree with the argument that this card could be hit in some way or form. Same with Rob Lucci. This card is very strong. It's a 4/6 that has an incredibly strong ability. However, it is not searchable in the deck. But as we talked about a minute ago, that's not really necessary in Sakazuki. Sometimes you don't really have to play a brand new and find the exact card. You'll just draw into it. You can cycle with your leader effect. You can get things back with Rebecca. There's many ways to find the pieces in your deck that are not searchable. And this is a very strong card. I mean, if you've played against Sakazuki, you know how strong this is. And I do think that there is an argument for this to get hit as well. However, there's a new card coming out in OP06 that is just this in an event, and it is searchable. So if they were to hit this, then guess what? They're just going to run 4 of that event card now. And I guess this card is better because it is a character. It is a body that can swing. However, I do believe that people just start to lean more towards that and play maybe another body that pops something. So I really think that hitting Sakazuki is going to be very tough for them because there are so many options of what to hit. And then the next one, like I talked about a little bit ago, Houndblaze. Like, I think that if they were to lock this to Sakazuki, like you have to use it on a Sakazuki leader or character, that would make it a lot better. However, there's not another deck that's playing this right now. Like, the only deck playing this is Sakazuki. And I mean, let me know if I'm wrong, if you're playing some strange blue build that plays Houndblaze right now. But I mean, Sakazuki's the one using and abusing this card, and if they could only put it on their leader, I think it would make it a lot better. However, I don't think it would fix the problem. Like I mentioned earlier, I do believe the Ice Age is insanely strong just because of how low it costs. I do believe that if this was a 2 or a 3 cost card, it would be a lot more fair and balanced. However, that seems very unlikely that they would errata this card and make it something like that or reprint it in that form. I think it would also be very hard for them to do, and I think that that's just very unlikely. I know this isn't the problem card, but I do think that Ice Age is very, very strong and was just overlooked for quite a while. If anything, I personally believe that Great Eruption might be something to get hit, just because, like I mentioned, it replaces itself with a new card. Then it also gives -2 to something. It only costs 1 Dawn. It's searchable, and it makes your opponent trash a card from their hand if you pull it out of life. Like, this card just does everything. It's so good. It's very, very strong. I mean, there's other cards I could have put on this list as well, like Hina, but I don't really think Hina's the problem, because it's not often you're hard playing Hina. You definitely can, but most of the time you're going to bring it off of Rebecca. If you really, really have to, you can hard play it, but that card is not the problem. That's just another character in the deck. But these are the cards I've heard people talking about wanting to go, at least in this format right now. You know, I guess there's some other cards that you could possibly bring into this conversation, maybe Yamato, but I still think that Yamato's pretty fair and balanced. Katakuri's very fair and balanced, the 8 cost. I really couldn't think of anything else to include in this list. If you have any ideas, let me know down in the comments below. But I've also heard people saying that they want Boat to come back. And I'm just going to stop you there with that one. I think that's absolutely insane. I don't think that that's a really good idea at all. I think that we would just see a flood of Whitebeard again, because it would be at 100% full power. And I think that's just a terrible idea. However, if they do it, they do it. I guess there's not really anything else we can do about that. But maybe it's not as strong as it once was. However, a stage card that gives your leader and all your Whitebeard pirate characters plus 2,000 on your turn is absolutely absurd. And if I'm wrong about that, I guess let me know down below, but I think that's just insane. I don't think this card needs to come back, but who knows? Sometimes Bandai likes to do some crazy things, and I guess we'll have to see. Once again, like I said, most of this is just my opinion. I really don't think there's much need for us in the TCG to get a ban list right now. I could agree with the OCG getting one just because of how they've been in this black dominant format for so long, and maybe we could get one in the future as well to help mitigate that so that our format doesn't develop like theirs did. But I don't believe that Bandai is going to do it before OP06 comes out, just so that they can get more sales, and then maybe wait a couple weeks, tournament or 2 passes, and then they drop something on our head. I personally don't think we need one right at this moment, and I'd love to hear what you have to think. If you have a different opinion, let me know down in the comments below. But yeah, that's about all I have for this video, y'all. I really just wanted to make this to talk about it because of these rumors I've heard, and I'd love to hear what you have to think. But other than that, I hope you have a great day, and I guess I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.